In this video, I'm going to teach you how to bulk efficiently and effectively, so subscribe and stick around to the end to implement these tips and tricks into your life. Because the thing with bulking is the majority of people nowadays are fat, and therefore the majority of content on YouTube caters towards this audience. So you see videos like the perfect diet for weight loss and how to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, but this isn't really useful to you if you're watching this video. And I want to provide you with a good solid guide to bulking, which would have helped me when I was starting my bulking journey in September 2022. And the first thing we're going to talk about is bodybuilding and bulking versus productivity and the issue with carbohydrates. Now, carbs are a hugely necessary thing for anyone's bulking journey, because when you eat a meal that is high in carbs, all this starch and carbohydrates goes through your digestive system. It's broken down by an enzyme called amylase and other enzymes as well, but most specifically amylase, and it's converted to glucose, which enters your bloodstream and spikes your blood sugar levels. A hormone called insulin is then released, which converts the glucose into glycogen, and that kind of transfers into your muscles. And then when you do your next workout or something, all this glycogen is then converted back into glucose, which means that you have more kind of glucose and stuff for respiration, which means your muscles can push more reps out. And obviously, this means more muscle builds over a compounding amount of time. However, the issue with carbs, how it affects productivity, is this thing called a carb crash. And it's when you eat a meal high in carbohydrates, it goes through the whole process that we explained earlier, but because your blood sugar levels are so high, so much insulin is then released, which actually kind of takes it below your baseline level, and this causes tiredness and fatigue. And obviously this is going to drastically affect your productivity, but the way to kind of get around this issue with carbs is to eat the majority of your carb intake before you go to bed, because obviously it can't affect you as much if you're asleep. There may be some more kind of deep scientific data on that, but I don't really have the time to research all of that kind of stuff. So here's the sort of solid foundations and basics. If you eat like 20% of your calorific intake as carbs during your kind of 8 to 6 productivity hours where you're working on a career or business, and then 40% is during the whole day. So during the whole day, you have 40% carbs, 30% proteins, and 30% fats. And during the productivity hours, you have 20% carbs, 40% proteins, and 40% fats. And this means that you're going to be more productive during the day, and you still kind of get the best of both worlds. However, if productivity doesn't really matter to you, then it's fine. You can just eat as many carbs as you want, and all will be well. When I was on my bulking journey, it didn't really matter. I was wanting to gain mass because I was severely underweight. And if you want to do the same, then I recommend just eating carbs, because it will still be beneficial to you. And now we're going to go on to the second section, which is fats and proteins. And this is the kind of how to bulk efficiently section. We've just gone through how to bulk effectively, and now we're going to be doing it efficiently. And the way to do that is to eat more fats, because in our society, fats are kind of demonized because people think that it causes you to become fat. But fat is a necessary component of actually building muscle, because fat is part of the muscle cell. It builds the cell membrane of the muscle, and proteins are kind of the stuff inside the cell. Fats are a hugely necessary part of your bulking journey, and it also makes your bulking journey efficient if you eat more of them, because it contains 9 calories per 1 gram of fat compared to the 4 calories per gram of proteins and carbohydrates. And this means that you can eat almost half of the amount of food while still gaining the same calorific intake, which is an efficient and quicker process, and can help you if you are in a kind of a tough financial position, or you're low on time. If you eat foods that are higher in fat while still kind of keeping your normal protein and carb intake, you will gain mass and muscle mass, as well as a bit of body weight and fat, much more efficiently and much more quickly. And you won't gain too many fat rolls by doing this. You will still build muscle because you're eating lots of carbs, and because your muscles are able to push out more reps, because you have 1, more mass on you, and 2, you have more glycogen in your muscle stores, which can be used as good energy to push out more reps. So Hope you found this video very useful, and that now you can kind of transform your diet into not be so scared of carbs. And when I say carbs, I mean good, healthy, complex carbohydrates, and not the kind of sucrose and sugar. Just don't eat plain sugar, because that's like really bad for you, and there'll be so many more separate videos on that in the future. Eat more complex carbohydrates if you want to like do that for your calorific intake, and don't demonize fats, because they're a very necessary component in muscle building for one, but they are also hugely necessary when it comes to wanting to bulk quickly and efficiently. So if you need any other help on anything kind of self-improvement related, my coaching calls are in the link in the description, and I recommend subscribing because it's free. And I love this community of young tribal men who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already are. So good luck.